Greetings, everyone, and welcome to the 244th edition of Cinema Effect, the podcast where we normally review and talk about a different movie every single Monday, but this week it's a TV show. And that TV show is The White Lotus, Season 3, which premiered in the US on February 16th, 2025. It is written and directed by Mike White. It is a drama/comedy, which I'm happy with. Any objections?
Oh, yeah. I've got a bit to say about that, actually. But yeah.
Okay, good tease there. And the synopsis of the series overall is the exploits of various guests and employees of a luxury resort over the span of a week. Sums it up about right.
Yeah.
In the most broad sense possible, but nonetheless, I would say fairly accurate. So congratulations there to IMDb for that. All right, Season 3, White Lotus. We've been watching it, of course. You were watching it weekly from the very beginning. So
Yeah.
You've caught up in the zeitgeist on this one.
Wait,
Oh,
excruciating.
I can imagine. I mean, the waits, the little periods where I had to wait like a few days was like, that was enough. I needed my nightly dose of White Lotus in my veins for sure. But Season 3, what did you think, Fitzy, overall?
It was pretty great. It was pretty. It was. I think it had like most of the things that the other seasons kind of had. You kind of have similar, like, recurring motifs. The kind of corruption of money and kind of people compromising their values for money, and kind of like the hypocrisy of certain privileged people who kind of think they're different and they realize they don't, or like unexpected the people who you wouldn't think would make progress being kind of unexpected. And you have the same kind of witty dialogue, and the comedic element is kind of consistent. I mean, the show is always entertaining regardless of the differences in the season. It always kind of delivers on the base level, I guess.
Absolutely.
But yeah, the cast was obviously pretty great, as it is with every season. But Walton Goggins was a good addition. Parker Posey, of course. Very happy that people have been reintroduced to Parker Posey, so that was good. But yeah, overall, I think it was pretty great. I think this season was more like ambitious than the previous two seasons, with this introduction of this introduction of spirituality, and this this whole concept of like everything we get from the White Lotus is like how it usually is, but it's packaged in this like Buddhist, through this like, you see everything through this like Buddhist lens, where it's like the cycle of desire and suffering and that kind of thing. And yeah, a lot of things is seen in the season through a kind of cyclical nature, through that and through the religion, which is very cool. And I think like this season's slower as well, and it just has more like emotional kind of ambition, and I think it's like much broader. So I did appreciate the kind of that kind of addition. It felt like Mike White is like kind of trying to stretch his limits, I guess, or go further. So yeah, I think overall great season. Yeah, I'll leave with that for now. Yeah.
We got a lot. I mean, I totally agree. I think you're totally right about Mike being more ambitious this season. There's a lot to unpack for sure. I'll say overall that Season 3 once again proved why The White Lotus is so my shit, and I think so our shit, and that it's because it I don't know, this show has everything, interesting characters, funny scripts, great mystery, and it's just, as you said, so damn entertaining on a base level. there's never a dull moment for me, honestly. Like it's such a fun show. And I don't know, it never ceases to amaze me how this show, what you're saying in terms of like the themes and some of the larger things it attempts this season, it's true, and it just never ceases to amaze me how this show is able to do so much at the same time so successfully. In terms of being a comedy, in terms of having funny satire, in terms of trying to tell you something about religion, in terms of, you know what I mean? It's just like in terms of being a whodunit. It's just like, how the fuck does this show do all of these things so well at the same time? It's crazy. Yeah. So needless to say, for me, Mike's done it again. This is a certified banger, as far as I'm concerned.
Oh, okay.
I don't know if there's a better example of like true auteur filmmaking in the television space than the White Lotus right now. I was trying to think of other examples. You know, there are TV creators that spring to mind, but they're not made in the same way that this show is, you know, in terms of Mike writing, directing every episode, basically like it's a film. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I really can't. I don't know. Like, there might be someone I'm missing. I just really can't think of anyone. And I think that in itself is enough, you know, to pique if you're a cinephile out there, to pique someone's interest. I just think this show's got such a clear vision, and it's really cool to know it all comes back to Mike, because I feel like sometimes, especially in TV, it's really easy. I mean, you know, people will do this regardless, but especially in TV, I feel like it's often very easy, like when people criticize or, you know, analyze the media in front of them, it's often like, oh, why did they do this? Why did they do that? You know, like the nebulous they of like who made this. You know what I mean? And TV, I understand it more because it's like there is a huge amount of people that go into, you know, there's usually the showrunner, of course, but then there's the writer's room and the 8 or whatever directors that looked after episodes. You know what I mean? But the fact that this whole thing comes back to Mike and it's his thing is not to say there weren't many other people involved, obviously, but yeah, the fact, you know, he's the auteur of this thing is, I don't know, it's unique in the space, and I really appreciate it for that as well.
Yeah.
Would you say that this show is an acquired taste, Liam? Because it's very popular. It's only gotten bigger, but it's also not a show that has the best ratings. Like, in terms of, like, it's not like universally beloved, this is the best TV of all time. And nor would I recommend it to everyone, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I guess is one of the things I was thinking last night, like what I was implying when I was talking about like the comedy thing. Like I think the first season has like the satire and you know, all the kind of the same kind of quality of writing, I guess. But I think like the first season might be the funniest season, and the first season is very like comedically. It's very comedic. Like it leans way more on the side of comedy to me than drama. And I feel like the show has shifted over time, where it's kind of become more, you know, complex. Like in season 2, I feel like we got a lot more with like the relationship dynamics, and just we've just kind of gone deeper over time, I guess.
Yeah.
But like I think the comedy still could be like an acquired taste, I guess. Just in itself. Yeah. So, but I feel like, I don't know, yeah. I feel like most people would gel with the comedy, but the other aspects are maybe less for everybody, I guess.
Yeah.
Maybe. Yeah. I don't know. I mean, it's kind of the thing with like likable or unlikable characters. Like a lot of people watch sitcoms these days, or that kind of thing, and you always kind of have a few like characters to attach to, and there are kind of characters to attach to in this. But I mean, in season 3, there's Rick's girlfriend, I guess. She's nice, you know. But
yeah.
But like for the most part, you don't really have those kind of characters in the White Lotus. You know, they all kind of have unlikable characteristics for a reason. So. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, I definitely agree with you. I think this show has gotten more away from. I don't know. It's always still there. This show, it has like a formula. It has like an identity for sure. But yeah, each season does sort of lean harder in certain directions, and I definitely agree that this season, I'd probably say this season is probably the most accessible, probably
You reckon?
just because of how, I don't know. I feel like there's a lot more sort of plot driven aspect in relation to like some of the larger things going on of like, Rick Rick wants to go and find the man he killed his father, or Tim is losing all, and his family are losing all their money. You know what I mean? As opposed to just being about characters and their awkward dynamics, as which kind of felt like a lot of what season 2 was. Which I feel like that's more maybe the
Okay.
acquired part, possibly. But I love that shit too.
Mm.
Don't get me wrong. And there's definitely still a huge element of that here as well. It's not like it's gone. But I also agree that season 1 felt like the most satire. And again, satire isn't removed. It hasn't gone away entirely, but it definitely feels like the show's evolved into something that's sort of recognizable, but not the same, where it's not
Yeah.
it's not as satirical as it once was. And I think that also maybe helps a bit with the accessibility. I don't know if satire is necessarily the most, universally liked or understood, form of comedy, necessarily.
Yeah. Well, like there was that thing a few years ago where people were like, what is the White Lotus? And even I was kind of like that.
Oh yeah,
And
I
then I
remember.
think
Yeah.
like everyone was like really confused about like the show's exact kind of like identity. And I think even watching, my dad was like watching some of the episodes, like watching that in the background, I was kind of like, I had the same kind of thing where it's like the show didn't feel like clearly defined, I guess. But yeah, like the first season was just kind of satire, and then it did kind of evolve beyond that.
Have you seen season 1 just once?
Yeah, I've seen season 2 twice, but yeah.
You've seen season 2 twice, yeah. Okay, I've only seen it all once.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting. I listened to I'll probably reference it a couple of times, but I listened to the official podcast they did with Mike after the finale, and he described it as like he thinks like the show is sort of each season is sort of in a conversation with itself, is how he described it, where these things
Yeah.
repeat and things. There's definitely a cyclical aspect to it of things you recognize, and I think the show undeniably has an identity. I understand on the surface it's kind of like something it feels unique. It's like something you sort of haven't seen before if you're just sort of dipping in, but I think if you watch it, it has especially all 3 seasons, it undeniably has, what the White Lotus is, the vibe, and you can definitely picture what that's sort of going to. And I'm excited to see how Mike sort of evolves it moving forward, and I'm sure he'll continue to. But like, what you're getting next time. You know what I mean in terms of the general vibe of what it is. I mean, even structurally, like it very much sticks to some formulas. Like it had you stick with you have the employee characters that you follow. I can't remember. I don't think there was a romantic aspect to that in season 1. But like like obviously, the what's his name? Guy
Oh
Talk.
yeah.
The Guy Talk and Mook thing felt like very like it felt like it was taking from the same formula of like, I can't remember the manager's name in season 2, but like that chick and like her romantic thing, exploits or whatever she was going on with her.
Yeah, that was in season 1 as well, with like the friend of Sydney Sweeney and the
That's right.
hotel. Yeah.
The Hawaiian guy. I remember that now. Yeah, that's right. So these things that it's not like the plot lines are exactly the same each time, but it is definitely sort of a formula that's taken from, and you can expect it to be taken and twisted again next season.
Oh yeah,
which is
yeah.
fun.
I mean, there are a few like other echoes in this season from season 1, I guess. Like, kind of what I was saying about like characters who don't change, or characters who you wouldn't expect to change, like the like Sydney Sweeney's family in that one. Like, I mean, she kind of thought she was. She had a whole like political angle where she thought she was kind of different or whatever, and then by the end you kind of realize that she's like her mother. It's kind of like the Piper story, and like the kid is like Fred Hetchlinger, Hetchel.
Oh yeah. I don't know, but Gladiator
Fred.
guy.
Gladiator. His story kind of echoes with Patrick, and that like this unexpected character who was initially kind of, non-spiritual, non kind of, nature focused, let's say, they like become that at like the end.
Oh, you meant, sorry, you're talking about, Patrick Swart. I was so confused who you were talking about.
What did I say?
Patrick Swart. No, you're right. You said
Oh.
Patrick as in Patrick Schwarzenegger, but I was like, what? Because I just think, I just see Saxon. It's funny. I just thinking of, like, I didn't know.
Yeah.
Anyway, it's
Saxon.
fine.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which is the most douche name ever, by the way.
Yeah. They nailed the name. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I think there's other echoes, but I can't. Yeah, that was like a cool, like kind of direct echo, like with the family thing. They do always kind of have like a family, but like this one was more like season 1's than season 2's with the 3 guys.
Yeah. No, that is true. It's crazy. I don't know. So, I feel like while we're talking about this grander stuff, that's interesting. I feel like it's a fun conversation to have, to try and distill like what the White Lotus is about, or like even let's like what this season is about. Because there's a lot going on. You always talk about it. Interests me. You always talk about it through the lens of classism a lot, and through wealth and that kind of thing. And there's definitely a huge aspect of that. But I guess I'm wondering if you felt that was, in terms of, we're sort of here comparing seasons, if you felt this season leaned just as strongly in that direction, or if that was still a big takeaway for you this time.
I don't know if I think about it in terms of class, or like rather just like people compromising their values for wealth, I guess.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, that definitely happens in this season. Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, there's definitely an aspect of that. It's funny. I don't know why. Triple J, because I just have Triple J on as my default radio station. Just sort of when if I go on a longer drive, I'll put on a podcast or music or something. But like just when I'm just short drives, it's just my default.
What number FM is Triple J?
I've got no clue, dude.
No clue. Oh, okay.
Do you know?
No, that's what I was asking.
Oh,
I know there's like 99.5, isn't that gold? And then 101.5 is like Smooth FM, or 101.3?
Yeah.
Luke would know.
I don't know what Triple J is. I just click Triple J.
Okay.
I don't know. Digital radio these days. But yeah, for some reason, whenever like they talk about the show, like I'm not trying. They for some reason it'll just come on and they're just talking about the White Lotus. Like this happened like 4 times. I don't know why. They like they like the White Lotus for some reason. But they always talk about it through the lens of like the show's about sex. It's about lust. It's about relationships in that sense, like romantic exploits, that kind of shit. They all like every single time they talk about the White Lotus on the radio, they start talking about it through this lens, and I'm like, it's just funny because like I don't disagree at all, but it's just like that's how they see the show all the time, and it's not necessarily like the first thing I think of. So it just sort of fascinates me how the show can be viewed through all these different prisms, I guess. And I think there's definitely aspects of what they're talking about, but yeah, I don't know. It's just funny to think about.
Well, I think like that's obviously a big recurring thing in the show, but I think like each season emphasizes different things more, and season 2 is the kind of relationship dynamic / sex season.
Yes, agreed. Yes,
there is like obviously some of that still, but it's not really the focus of season 3, I think.
Yeah, in that, you're right. That season 2 was that. It's funny in that way. I guess it's almost like, sort of, I guess going back to what I was saying earlier, but it is almost like the show has these different ideas always in play, and then depending on the season, like some will be amplified over others, kind of, but they're all there in some form. That's interesting. Yeah, because it was less so this season, but also definitely still there.
It just wasn't like the theme of the season. Like the theme of this, like season 2 was like, it was specifically about relationships and like how wealth changes relationships, and that kind of thing.
Yeah, definitely. So then, and that was reflected in like that intro as well, which was great. So then this season, I think we're sort of on the right track with religion, spirituality, these larger ideas. Mike basically said on the podcast what he thought, like what the season was about to him. And it's basically, it's basically what you said, where it's in large part driven from his experiences with Buddhism, which was very interesting. And essentially how he saw the biggest theme of the season basically being that it's an exploration of identity as the source of our suffering, is how he described it. Which sounds huge, by the way. It sounds like massive things to be playing with on a show about people staying at a hotel. But crazily enough, he pretty much pulls it off. I thought that was really interesting. You can sort of see that in a lot of the different storylines, and I guess it also contributes to what you were saying of like the show this season feeling like it has more of a I don't know, like a biblical sort of vibe to it. Like, Mike described it as like some of the storylines are sort of feel more like parables than he's done before, which I agree with, as opposed to it, leading harder into the actual just relationships and the dialogue and that kind of stuff. Like it's sort of more like, I guess I'm specifically mostly thinking about the Rick story. You can see it in others too, but that one for sure.
Like Rick feels more like morally didactic than any other kind of individual storyline that the show's done. Like his like cycle of revenge leads directly to, the deaths. So it does feel a lot like a parable, like a fable, as you said. Yeah. But like, that does like resonate with me. Like I do see how the identity being the source of suffering is kind of laying throughout all the characters, like the dad, Saxon, Rick, obviously. Yeah, that's kind of everywhere. Yeah,
big time. Yeah, that's basically why the Buddhist monk character is there and important. I feel like, obviously Piper goes there and wants to, study there and shit. But like basically everything the Buddhist monk talks about is related to this stuff. And I guess also for Rick, because Rick doesn't go there. It's more so like the what did he go? He called her his Indian lady. I'm going to see my Indian lady. Rick's Indian lady is helps him with that. Yeah, it touches on that for him as well. It's sort of like I think there's that VO at the start of the finale with the monk saying, if we can't accept that there is no reason, that there is no meaning, or whatever he says, something like that, then we can't move on and we can't be free. And I guess that it really was, that was sort of the moral of the story, if you will, with this parable, if you want to call it that. And then Rick, that's exactly what happens to him, and he dies, as a result of it. He couldn't learn.
Yeah,
but there was kind of a relief in that. Do you reckon there was kind of like a relief in that final shot of him like floating in the water? There was something, there was something sort of more positive there, I felt.
Like he was at peace. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think like having like her, having her on the show as well. It's kind of like this. They kind of were like a yin yang. Like they kind of. That whole relationship was very interesting, like how she was kind of his hope for like redemption or whatever, and then they were just dead in the end. It was a good like it was a good final image for them. Well, not good, but it had a lot of layers to it. Yeah, fitting.
Yeah. Yeah, I felt really bad for Chelsea because she's like sort of I don't want to say the only one. She felt definitely like the most sort of pure character in the show. Yeah. Just like nice, come on. Just the amount of times that she basically pleaded with Rick to, see her right there in front of him, and she's got so much love to give and all this, and it's just like, bro, it just sucks. Yeah, he couldn't get past it, So yeah, she was adorable for sure.
And then the love that he had.
Exactly.
thinking about the life he didn't have before. Yeah.
Exactly. And then, and that the fact that she's like floating face down at the end and gets killed for it is that sucks. That's the devastating part. She's the Rick.
Mm.
He had his own little story of like he couldn't let go of his trauma and his past, and then he dies as a result. And okay, that sort of all comes up. That's sort of karmic in some way for him. But then she's like a victim in it. You know what I mean? She feels like she really was just attached at the hip, and then suffered the consequences, which sucks.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't expect her to die. That was that hit me. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I think like that storyline is like one of the more like emotionally successful things like that the show's kind of done. Like yeah, I think with them and like a little bit with the three women, mainly with freaking Carrie Coon's speech, but like I think like those two things are like they're more emotionally elevated than the show usually is. So yeah, he was very successful with Rick and Chelsea in particular for sure.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's definitely the most I felt like the death at the end of the season for sure. Yeah. So and that's no, I agree. I think he tried to do something larger, more mythical, if you will, and he succeeded because I felt it. Yeah, I thought it was moving. I really did.
Yeah.
I was so. Where were you? Did you have any thoughts? Because when I saw you before, I'd seen the finale. You sounded like, I mean, you'd seen it at that point, but you sounded like someone who had a better theories than me. You know what I mean? You sound like someone who had a better sense of what was going on. The way it played out made perfect sense. I don't know. I wasn't sure that it was going to be Rick who was going to die or anything. But like, is that where you were leaning?
I didn't know if it was going to be Rick who was going to die. I don't think I had much of an idea what was going to happen. I just knew that Guy Tuck would be involved because it was basically like Chekhov's gun. They gave him the gun. He's got to be involved in the shooting. And then, I mean, I think I was leaning towards a shootout with Rick just because, like Jason Isaacs, the Ratliffs being involved only made like partial sense, I guess. So yeah, I wasn't trying to predict who died though. I don't think I had a thought on that. But
yeah. I really had no idea, to be honest with you. I thought it could have been Guy Tock at one point. Yeah, like I agree with you. Like he had to be involved in the shootout, but I figured he might have been the victim of it or something. But no, he was the shooter.
Well, the thing is, I think I realized like from past seasons, it's never like the family or like, and it wouldn't be like one of the three women because like breaking up that group would be really weird if just one died. So it's usually like the individual characters. Like one of them usually dies.
Yeah, well, that's right. That's right. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
But see, that's the thing. Now I look forward to how Mike's going to take that, and then next season he won't do that. You know what I mean? Like he'll try and subvert it. Yeah. But yeah, no, you're actually right about that. Well, but that I guess that sort of is the surprising thing about that is that, like you said, you weren't expecting Chelsea to die. I certainly wasn't either. And it's the fact that that's how he subverted it this time, I guess, is that two people died. That's new. They died together. So even if you sort of were leaning towards Rick dying, I don't think people were expecting them both to die necessarily.
Well, there are 5 people technically died, right? Did the dad die? Did he actually die?
Surely.
I think he died.
Yeah, he died. He had to have died.
The bodyguards as well.
Yeah. I think the thing that didn't make me see that coming in terms of the Rick storyline being the one that played out and that came to, that became the shootout. I guess, well, we didn't know it was a shootout either, to be fair. Like, I was kind of more leaning towards it's a gunman. Like, it's a fucking, like a madman kind of thing. Like, or a terrorist attack or something. And that's why like the earlier scene in the season of like Valentine's mates robbing the hotel, like to me it was sort of more going to be in that vein of like an attack as opposed to like back and forth shooting.
Okay.
So I mean, so that's part of it, but then the other part of it, of course, was just I don't know. I mean, I guess I probably could have seen it coming, but I just didn't expect Scott Glenn's character, the old man, to like end up coming back to the hotel. You know, like the second in the finale when that became like, oh, he's coming back here. I'm like, oh, okay. Like this, it opened that in my mind where it wasn't really plausible before. I didn't really consider it. But it makes sense. Like, you cast that guy, you want, it'd be weird if you, in retrospect, it would be weird if you sort of just left him with that scene where Rick like pushes him over in his room.
Yeah. No, I was expecting a bit more, and but somehow my dad predicted that he would be his dad, instead of the guy who killed his dad. Yeah, he was like sure of that from like early on. I was like, how do you predict that shit, man? Like, but some people on Reddit also like really was sold on the theory too. So,
that is, yeah. I didn't really know what to make of that exactly. I mean, I guess it adds to like the tragic element of it, like the sort of the irony of it.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's meant to be much more than that. Like, other than it's just sort of how it just sort of makes the whole thing feel even more, I don't know, like a waste, I guess.
Yeah. Does Oedipus kill his own father? I don't know. There's something in myth about a guy who doesn't know his own father and kills him.
Right. Yeah, that does sound like for sure, like some sort of, I don't know, Greek mythology or some shit. I don't know what it is, but yeah. Yeah, I mean, okay, so yeah, the theme of identity is strong there with Rick and Chelsea.
Yeah. But like, Walton Goggins, I think. So yeah. I think I've seen. I've seen him in like half a season of Fallout, the 5 episodes that I watched. And I'm not sure if I've seen him anywhere else, but yeah, he was great. He kind of played like this very disturbed character, very one-minded, focused individual, very pretty well. And his kind of like loss of control in the last episode and his anger, that was really great acting as well. So yeah, he was great throughout. He was very very entertaining. I think like him and Chelsea just like the base level entertainment that we're talking about, like from them, their dynamic was also very very funny. And he's just kind of disinterested in all the hotel activities. That was good. Yeah, he was great.
Agreed. Yeah, he was. I've never seen him. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know how much I've really seen of him, but I always picture him as like, I don't know, like the badass character, like the Western character, or like wasn't he in that show? Like, I've never seen it, but he was in that show Justified for like 8 years or whatever. And he's like a cop or whatever.
He was in the Hateful Eight too, right? He was.
Oh yes,
yeah,
exactly. He's like the Western guy, kind of, I guess.
Yeah, he does give that.
And then, like, obviously in Fallout, that's definitely there as well. But yeah, so I guess for me, this is kind of like the most like sort of just normal guy I've seen him play, and it was a lot. So in that sense, it just felt more subtle to what I'm used to from him. But yeah, I really enjoyed it. I feel like he was flexing a range. I'm not saying he's probably done stuff like it before. I just know a range I haven't seen from him. So I thought he did that really well. He played like the grumpy, doesn't want to be there kind of guy. But like, obviously you understand that it's sadness. He's just a really sad man, basically. And that obviously adds to the whole tragedy of it. So yeah, no, I agree. He surprised me in a really positive way throughout the season for sure. And oh yeah, and Amy Lou Wood, who plays Chelsea, is just like, perfect. Just cast when you want just an adorable, bubbly character, just cast her. Done.
I don't think I've seen her in anything because I haven't watched Sex Education, but yeah, she was great. She was a great kind of part.
Yeah, I mean, she basically plays the same character. Like, I imagine, I don't know, but I imagine Mike saw that and like was like, there we go, that's it. Because yeah, she's great. In terms of, I mean, oh god, there's so many different ways to go. In terms of the identity stuff, keeping that as an overall theme here for a second.
Sure.
bringing. There's a huge part of that, of course, in the Ratliff storyline as well. And that whole thing was fascinating. I will say overall, I was surprised how much I ended up caring about this family, like, especially some of them. Because at the start I felt a certain way, and the way I felt about them honestly changed a lot. And they were probably the most, in terms of like how my feelings towards them changed as the season progressed. They're probably the most invested I was in any of the storylines, to be honest with you, which I would not have expected at the start, especially for one Saxon, to be honest.
Yeah, Saxon for sure. But I think Jason Isaacs. Wait, what are their names, man?
Is Tim?
Tim. I think the whole thing with him, like having the recurring visions, is kind of annoying. Like him shooting his family and stuff. I think that was kind of weak, honestly.
Oh, okay.
I mean, I do think they kind of, his whole thing of like asking each member of the family whether they can, like interrogating them on whether they can live without money, and them like being like, nah, it was like pretty funny.
Yeah, and, definitely.
But like, there's just too many close-ups of his face, like in a state of like disarray, I guess, and it feels a bit like we didn't go deeper into him. We just kind of lingered on his face a lot.
Right. Yeah. Okay. I see that. I guess it does feel a bit repetitive in that particular way.
It did feel repetitive,
because I want to say, well, actually, it was the first 3 episodes in a row ended with him, like basically in that state. Like it was progressing, but like, yeah. So, and then I want to say it was definitely the first 3 in a row, and I want to say there was another one thrown in there, like I want maybe episode 6 or 7 or something, where like it also ended with him like basically having a meltdown.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, I that's fair. I can see that being repetitive.
But I mean, even with Piper, I don't know. Apparently, there was more that was kind of cut with Piper.
Yes.
And honestly, I felt like they could have gone a bit deeper with her too, just a little bit. Okay. But maybe that was like a time issue or something.
Did you hear what was cut?
Yeah. Piper and Zion,
yeah, which is so funny. Yeah, when Mike explained why he cut it, I understood it. He said like when it was put together, it kind of started. It felt very rom-commy, and it didn't. He felt it didn't fit in the finale as well as he'd hoped. Was his reasoning?
Right. Okay. I just felt like we needed a bit more. Like maybe it wasn't that we needed. That it does kind of sound kind of weird that was the thing, but
yes, I agree.
But yeah, I mean, yeah, Saxon was like, I guess the exception to the family. I mean, the rest of them seemed kind of pretty surface level, I guess, which is maybe like the point, you know. But yeah, Saxon's arc was pretty cool. Like in the first episode for sure, he was like a total kind of blank slate douche kind of character.
Absolutely.
You know?
Yeah.
And then you saw a lot more, and his acting was pretty great. His kind of his yearning for more face was quite good.
Yeah. He has that whole speech he gives to Lockie. I don't know if it's in episode 1 or 2 or whatever it is, but basically where it's like life's about getting stuff. And if you can't have the stuff you want, then something like I'm butchering it.
I mean, he does put it very simply, but
yes,
I can't remember exactly what it is. Yeah,
you want more stuff. If you don't get the stuff you want, then
life's about getting what you want, basically.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that was 100% one-dimensional, and then the whole thing as it progressed was surprising, and I ended up feeling surprised. Yeah, I ended up feeling sorry for him. Like and it's not even like anything crazy really happened to. Oh well, one crazy thing can't happen to him, but outside of that, you know what I mean? Like it's not like he went on this huge sympathetic journey or whatever. It was just kind of like, I just sort of slowly the performance started to see more layers to him. That then I just started connecting with him more. And honestly, I think Patrick was a huge part of that happening, because there's only a handful of scenes really where the layers start to be peeled back a little bit. I think one of them is when he like hangs out with Chelsea in the bedroom and they read Buddhist books or whatever, or like self-help books or whatever it is. You sort of see something there, and I felt when he has that thing, that scene in episode 7, I think it is, with Tim at Greg's house, and he comes up to him and he asks, how are things going at work, and like he basically tells him like this work and this career that we have and this business we have together, like this is all that I have, and if I don't have this, I have nothing. That obviously serves Tim's internal conflict of thinking he needs to kill everyone, but also, but in that moment, I felt really sorry for him. Like this guy really, really has nothing. He's got no, and like the fact that he's so, I don't know what the word is. The fact that he's just, I don't know. He has such little to cling on to, I guess. So little that he's passionate about or interested in, that like the idea of them losing their wealth, like that's all he has. It's kind of, I don't know, it made me feel sorry for him. It really did.
Yeah. Yeah, it was like it was a gradual kind of sympathy for him, I guess.
Yeah. It's not even like, and it's not like by the end he's not a douche, but but he unfolded to become, like a more complex, person, as opposed to just this caricature, which he sort of, I think, intentionally was meant to feel like at the start. But yeah, I mean, I think the whole identity, of course, like the whole thing with their whole main plot thing, obviously in the season, is that Tim's getting calls that basically their life's fallen apart back home because of some financial scheme gone wrong. They're going to lose all their assets, and he has to deal with that and keep the family away from. He tries to, keep the knowledge away from the family that they're this rich family and have lost everything, and will return to a different life. And I mean, there were just some funny scenes with that, in terms of like every time that Tim like basically tried to convince his family members to not look at their phones, and the ways he did it was just funny. There was that time early on when like Pam came to collect their phones, and and he like tried to convince Saxon. Like Jason was really good in the scene where like he tried to talk up Saxon of being like, I'm really proud of you and you do great work, and basically give him like the conversation that any son wants to hear from their dad. But it's so empty because he's just doing it to get the fucking phone in the envelope. You know what I mean?
Yeah. That was pretty funny. And you can see on Saxon's face, he was kind of like almost having a moment, but yeah, it was just for his own little scheme. But yeah, Jason Isaacs. Well, yeah, he like his southern accent and his kind of slow, solid character, slow talking, solid character was very. I mean, the character was very good. Like I did enjoy him in the first few episodes, I guess. And like Jason Isaacs played him very well. The southern accent was like top notch.
Yeah, I agree. At first, I thought it was kind of weird, and apparently some other people thought it was weird too. But it's apparently from a very. I was reading into it because I was like, this accent's kind of. It was a very specific Southern accent. It wasn't just like, oh, he's from Texas or whatever. You know what I mean? Like it was like it felt very unique, and I was kind of like, is that? I couldn't tell if that was like him, like because he's British and like his version of it, and it's kind of just sounds weird because of that, or if like he was. And apparently, he's actually doing a very specific North Carolinian. Correct? Is that the right? I don't know. From North Carolina, Southern accent from a city called Durham or something hyper specific that like he's been there and knows and stuff. And apparently, people from there were saying it's spot on. So I was like, "Fuck, all right, I'll take your word for it."
Yeah, I mean, it feels like it has like some class, It's a southern accent with like generational wealth southern accent.
Yes, big time. And that's exactly what it was. Yeah,
his southern accent was good. Parker Posey's southern accent was
oh man,
pretty funny. I mean, it's good.
It was very funny. Did you get all the Parker Posey content that you so desired? Were you satiated?
Yeah, I was pretty satiated. Yeah. I mean, she was just like, she served pretty much just as a fully comedic character, but I was happy enough with that. That's what we got from her. You're gonna stay in Taiwan?
You want to live in Taiwan? No, actually, that might be the best. That might be the best line of the season. Actually, that was fucking hilarious. I died. Yeah, she had some really funny lines. Like, honestly, like half the lines she had that even like weren't meant to be necessarily, on the page like jokes or anything or like gags were just funny. Like her delivery was just hilarious. Yeah, so she definitely played into it, and I mean that speaks to what the show does so well as well. Is that's how the cast that they put together for the show. This is an overall comment, but the cast that they put together in every season of the show is so strong, and the actors add so much to the material. It's honestly, it might be the best example that I've seen where the material's funny and interesting and absolutely, but the actors just add so much to it. It just becomes electric when you watch them on screen perform that stuff. And it's just like I said, there are countless examples as you're watching the season where like you can tell an actor clearly elevated that line. Like, and Parker Posey is like the 10 out of 10 example of that this season, where like basically everything she was given, she elevated.
Yeah. I think my favorite moment there is like with her and when she has that interaction with Leslie Bibb's character in the blonde woman, where she just kind of kind of stares at her and like fobs her off kind of, but like it was just so fun. Like and she was like half on her like lorazepam kind of like half conscious state. That show was really funny. That made me burst out laughing.
That was so funny.
Yeah.
That kind of felt. I mean, I don't know. I mean, that felt very White Lotus. I'll say it felt. It kind of reminded me of season 2 as well, but it felt in terms of just like how the show, in a lot of ways, to me, we've talked about all these different things it's about. To me, it also largely feels a lot like it's about humans as social animals in terms of how we interact with each other. And that's where a lot of the satire comes from, because it's just like, it feels like it's often just poking fun of how fucking ridiculous we are and how fake we are a lot of the time. And the way in which Mike does that is just hilarious. And that, I mean, that's a perfect example of that, where the scene's just hilarious because of how it just bends social convention in this weird way of just like how awkward it is. And it's just like, that's just what makes it so funny. And I mean, Mike does that throughout the whole thing, but that's another interesting sort of through line of it, of just how, I mean, we'll get to the three ladies storyline. That's a huge part of that as well. I think.
But like on the social, like Mike White, he was on Survivor, and he was like kind of he was very interested in Survivor as just kind of a social experiment show. So he does come from that kind of background, I guess, of just like being interested in like free flowing social dynamics and like putting people in a room and making them interact and see what happens. Like, yeah.
You can definitely see that in the show. Hey, did you watch him on Survivor? Like, did you know him from that?
He was on David vs Goliath. I'm not sure if I watched that, but I did go and like watch like a bit of the first episode just to see what he was what he was like on the show. And like in the first, so like in Survivor, there's like idols, immunity idols. And because he's like such a Survivor fan, like on the first day he started looking for an idol. He was like the first person to, which like kind of puts you, on the edge, like socially, like it's not like a good thing to do. But he was just like so passionate about the idol that he just like did it anyway. But he seems like a pretty like funny guy. And I only watched like a bit of it, but
that's funny. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's yeah. you can totally see that in the show. It's funny. You can just, I feel like all these different aspects of him just comes out in the show. It's crazy. I didn't mean to move entirely off the rat lifts here. I don't know if we got more to. I guess there's parts of it we haven't covered, so I guess we probably have more to say. But they're ending like so. I guess the conversation with them, I guess, is that their identity is so tied to their wealth and their status that being taken away from them is the force at play here, I guess, and the threat of them losing that. And as you mentioned earlier, Tim sort of throughout the season going around and interrogating everyone and like trying to gauge who he thinks can survive without money, and thinking of ways to get out of his situation, which involves just brutal stuff. It involves him thinking he needs to murder-suicide everyone, which is pretty shocking. I in terms of what you were saying earlier, I don't disagree that it definitely got repetitive. Like once he sort of got into that state around, like he sort of started getting drugged up around like episode 3, I think it was, or something. So like he sort of stuck around in that state for most of the season. So I get that being a bit repetitive. I still found it interesting, and I still found that like some of those scenes where he sort of imagines like what he would do quite strong. Like probably the first one, when he envisions like him shooting himself. Just the first one, he just killed himself. And then Parker Posey and Piper come running in. That was a pretty distressing scene, I thought. Maybe because it was also the first time. They do it a few times again, but I thought that was a pretty distressing scene of like just, I don't know, seeing your family come in and find you dead. I thought that was well acted and pretty scary, to be honest. So him, weighing up these pretty big ideas as the, scary things as the season goes on, and it all culminating in him making the death smoothie.
Yeah.
was interesting for sure. But I guess this is where sort of Lockie's character comes into it, because the whole thing is that Lockie thinks he can survive without the money, so he doesn't give him the smoothie. Which that whole scene was unbearable to watch. It was, I could barely look at the screen as everyone was drinking their smoothie. But yeah, I don't know. It's so, I guess I'm not entirely sure how to feel about the character of Lockie. I thought he was interesting. I mean, the whole dynamic with Saxon was interesting, but in terms of him surviving, well, him having the smoothie and then surviving. Now, I'm not entirely sure. Did you what you saw in that? Because I think I'm still wrestling with it a bit.
Yeah, I don't know about that, but like I did enjoy Lockie's character. Like the kind of positioning that Lockie had, like being between Piper and Saxon, being the kind of like middle ground, or as he said, like the people pleaser person.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah,
I think that was like a cool character to add in this family, in this family of like narcissists, as he said, because he's kind of quite conflicted in the family, I guess.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think I don't know. Like I think what Lockie went through, also, what he went through this season was kind of interesting. Like he kind of just went through a lot of shit because of who he is, I guess. I don't know. Yeah, I'm not sure if he changed at the end, or if it was just like a result of him being the people pleaser that all this kind of stuff happened with him. Like he was kind of led down this thing by Saxon and the family, and he just kind of, like, at the end he was obviously like totally done. Like, because that shot at the end is him just like, with sunglasses on, it's just kind of like totally resigned, whereas Saxon's like reading the book, and Piper looks like more, freed, or I don't know, more liberated. But yeah, I don't know fully what to make of Lachlan, but I did enjoy watching Lachlan navigate the situations and the family. Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah.
He I mean, there's definitely the whole aspect of him being the people pleaser. There's definitely something to the fact that he, like, so obviously going to stay at the temple is Piper's thing and wanting to stay for the year. And the fact he kind of steals that from her and kind of, thinks, oh, don't you want me to come and stay with you too? And she's like, no, not really. And then it's the same with Saxon, where it's like, oh, you want to get laid, you want to get off, don't you? Right? And it's like, oh, I'll jack you off myself. and then it's like, oh, well, I didn't really want that, There's definitely something to where he like pushes those limits to where it kind of changes the other characters as well.
Yeah, he's like hyper people pleaser.
Yeah, crazy. So
yeah, well, I guess that's the kind of that was like Lucky's whole thing is like he has a kind of a lack of identity, and that's kind of what. It's not that he's trapped within his identity; he has a lack of it, and that's kind of what brings all this suffering, let's say, to him.
Yeah, absolutely. Right from the start, he's like the guy. He's like doesn't know who he is, and like that's why Saxon's trying to sort of shape him. Of like, drink the smoothie, be the man, hit the gym, whatever, And he's like, and he seems relatively. I mean, he seems sort of. I wouldn't say he seems necessarily thrilled all the way, but he seems relatively open-minded, relatively open to being molded, I guess. He just definitely looks like he's on the search for an identity of his own, and this season probably taught him a few lessons in that regard for sure.
Yeah, well, Piper doesn't like actively try to mold him, but like it feels like he's kind of between them. He's being pulled at the start of the season.
Yes, even down to that. I love that one of their first scenes is, "Do you want to sleep in? I want to sleep in Piper's room." Or what was it? It was something like that. It was like, "I'll sleep with Piper." And they're like, "What?" And it was like a thing because it's like, "Oh, you can't sleep with your sister."
Oh yeah.
And you should sleep with your brother. It was just like, it was obviously like sort of meant to be sort of incestuous in some way, and potentially even teasing what was to come later. Now I think about it, but. Yeah, just funny of like he very much is caught between them. Yeah, the whole thing with bloody what's his face, the guy we're talking about, Lockie jacking off his brother Saxon. Was this a controversial thing? I sort of wasn't super. I don't like I'm not immersed in the conversation around the show. I imagine you following it week to week might have heard a bit more. I can imagine this being pretty controversial. My mum listens to some podcasts where they were talking about it. So I was just like, I was curious. I wouldn't be surprised if this was a big takeaway from the season of being like, did they push too far on that kind of thing?
Oh, I don't know. I think some people were talking about it, but like before it happened, like I think Michael like warned people that this show would have more like shit to it, and he might have actually said that specifically, that there'll be like incest stuff. So I don't know. But
how did you react to it? Did you think it was like a shock thing, or did you take it in your stride?
What?
So That's a
what kind of question is that, bro?
No. I just mean like, how'd you react to it? Was it shocking? Was it like, did it make sense?
Did I take it in my stride? What the fuck? Well, because I already heard that, like there might be that kind of thing. Like I was shocked, but like not overly so, I guess. I mean, yeah, I'd say I was pretty shocked. I'd say I was pretty, it definitely got a reaction from me for sure.
Sure, yeah.
But I don't think it was like crazy. Yeah.
I agree. I mean, it's definitely obviously gross and shocking for sure. But I don't know. I thought it was effective in us having these conversations we're having now, and achieved what it needed to. Yeah, I agree. I guess I just brought it up because I can see some people saying, "Oh, that was foul. They lost. He's gone totally off the rails with that." And I'm like, I don't know. Not really.
Has the show? Yeah. I mean, the show's done gross things before. I just can't really remember them right now. But I mean, yeah,
I don't know.
yeah,
I don't know if it's done something. I don't know if it's gone this far. But even that, yeah. But like I say, I don't think it's too far. I'm also not necessarily.
yeah.
I mean, Mike, feel free to push it further if you want. But I'm not necessarily saying that. But you know,
Mm,
but I guess with this Ratliff clan here, they the ending was surprisingly, like, considering how doom and gloom the whole thing was. If you felt like it was leading to their demise and their dying together or something, their ending felt pretty damn good. You know, in terms of it felt like at least Tim. I mean, the others sort of don't really know what they're in for quite, which is sort of the the fun aspect of that of their ending. But like, it felt like Tim very much had sort of the reverse Walton Goggins resolution to the identity question, which is he was able to, when he was pushed to that brink of like he's about to kill his family and sort of almost half does when they start drinking. When he's pushed to that brink, he at his core reevaluated his values and his own perception of what he lives for, and was able to sort of break free of the whole. He saw some hope that they could move forward. He tells them that things will be different, but we'll get through it. That feels like a pretty. That feels very much like a conclusion to an arc right there, and a positive one that has hope in it, I guess, for them. I don't know how
mm,
bloody Victoria might go home and kill herself right away. Because, I don't know, but
yeah.
I feel like Tim's had an epiphany of sorts.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. I actually thought there would be kind of a twist to that. Like, I thought in the end, like everything would kind of pan out, and that they'd still be rich in the end, and so all his freakouts would just like be for nothing. But
I mean that would yeah. I mean that would say something as well, but so I wouldn't be against that. But yeah,
hmm. But yeah, no, like I don't know. I guess I get what you're saying, but it did like the actual scene did just kind of feel awkward, like leaving it like that.
oh,
Um,
okay.
hmm.
You weren't the biggest fan of it.
um, no, I mean, I guess it leaves it on the same note that it's always that it has been on throughout the season, though, which is just like this uncertainty. Um, so I guess I like that about it. Yeah, maybe I do like it. I don't know.
I mean,
Actually,
there's definitely
yeah,
uncertainty. Yeah.
yeah. We didn't get like the resolution, but I guess it makes sense that we didn't even get like a reaction. You know, I don't know.
Right.
Yeah,
I mean, I feel like we know what the reaction is, though. The reaction is going to be
yeah.
not good,
We don't need to see the
but
reaction. Yeah.
that's why I think you sort of, it's maybe better without the reaction, is that you can sort of get in. I guess it's more sort of seeing it through Tim's point of view of like seeing beyond the reaction and seeing the future and seeing the things they have a future. As opposed to if you leave it on the reaction, it's kind of like, oh shit, this kind of sucks.
Mm. Yeah,
Because they're going to freak out, obviously.
He believes in family after trying to kill them all.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Well, I mean, hey, there's no better way to come to the realization that your family is the most important thing to you than trying to kill them.
Yeah, yeah. Makes you realize how much you love them.
Exactly. All right. God, it's crazy. We've only talked about like half this fucking storylines. Jesus Christ. So we got the three women aspect: the Michelle Monaghan, Leslie Bibbs, and
Trio.
Carrie Coon. The trio, the trio, the lady trio here. It's funny. There is I mean, in terms of like the whodunit of like what we were talking about earlier, who the shooter is and who's going to die and all this kind of stuff. It's funny how there's always storylines, important storylines that end up having nothing to do with that at all. And the Ratliffs kind of don't really, but like this one really has nothing to do with it at all, unless you want to count like Michelle Monaghan getting the photo with Scott Glenn at the end. So it's just funny how like as the show's going on, you've got no idea of what you're watching. I mean, like you said earlier, Guy Talk having the gun is a hint that he's probably going to be involved, right? But I just like how as you're watching, you've got no idea really of like what storylines are actually getting. Like what I'm watching right now might have absolutely nothing to do with what we're building to, or it might, and you sort of don't know. This was an example of having nothing to do with it. I don't say that in a bad way at all, but it's just true. Because Mike was talking about how this story was kind of, he felt like it was and I think it's right. It was basically the most season 2 of the stories. It felt like the most sort of like familiar territory, I guess. Not in a copy paste way, but just in a, it feels like it's about the dynamic between these three people and where they're at in their lives, and the social awkwardness that arises at times from that. So it felt very White Lotus in that way, for sure. Yeah. How much did you dig this one as it was going? Where did it rank, I guess, for you in the pantheon here of stories?
I don't know. I think it was alright. I think Carrie Coon was pretty great. Obviously, their kind of whole thing where like, two of them talk behind their backs about the other person, and then like the other two talk about the one of them. That was pretty funny in the first few episodes. Yeah, I mean, like it is kind of familiar, but it's also not in terms of like diving deep into like kind of toxic, female friendships, I guess. I don't think the show, I mean, it has done that a little bit, I guess. But like, yeah, to this extent, it was cool to see that kind of dynamic explored kind of deeply. But yeah, I think like the rivalry they kind of have, and I think the friendships were pretty like they felt pretty authentic, like even if they were kind of, they did have that bitterness at times, that, you did see them obviously come together in the end, but like come together at times, and it felt like one of the more genuine like parts of the show, even though it did have that super satirical lens to it, I guess.
Yeah, it still felt relatable. Yeah, definitely.
Well, yeah, not relatable, but
not to me.
Yeah.
Not to me. It felt real, I would say. When you talking about these three women, when you're getting introduced to them in the first 2 episodes, them just being fake as fuck to each other was hilarious. It was just that like gossiping and making the most surface level artificial like compliments of each other. It was just hilarious.
I think Leslie Bibb was like the funniest in that, when she was like trying, she was like trying to not seem like she was gossiping, but she was like, kind of instigating it. Like she was like, she had the kind of, well, there was this that kind of thing.
She's lovely. Oh, she's so great. But
yeah, I mean, and she was kind of like the fence sitter. Like she was the one that was in on the first 2, conversations for each. Like she was the one who was talking against the other person's back for both the first 2 times.
That's right.
Yep. And I thought her character was pretty interesting. She was that kind of like fence sitter who just like sided who like with whoever was like the more popular or powerful at the time, kind of, like she didn't have a very strong character, I guess. She was kind of like the Lachlan of the group, I guess.
Yeah, kind of.
Yeah, not fully, but like, yeah, I did like. I think she was an important part to the whole dynamic of the 3.
Yeah.
And Michelle Monaghan, she was pretty great as kind of the vain actress type. Yeah. Yeah. She was good.
That whole scene where Valentine recommended them to go to the resort down the road, and they go there and it's just a bunch of and she's
Oh.
freaking out at all the old people.
Yeah,
That shit was fucking hilarious. And they're all Australian, which I feel like is a
Oh,
shot.
really? Is that the Bintang thing that you're talking about with Jada?
Yep.
Oh.
Yep.
Mm.
Because it's like you go to any of these sort of resorts in these places, and like there's so many Aussies around, and they're wearing their bintang singlets, and it's sort of bogan vibes for sure. And that's exactly what it was. And she got there, and she meltdown, and it was so good when she's like looking around and realizing, like, sort of like just being so disgusted at just like regular old people. And like just, and not even some of them were. It wasn't even like they were all old like nursing home stuff. It was just like, you know, like a guy in his 50s who's kind of overweight, and she was like losing her mind over that. It was just so funny.
Yeah, well, I think she was also like upset that Valentina even recommended them to this place. You know, I mean, the other thing was her main like source of upset, I guess.
But that speaks to her. Yeah, it speaks to her, what you were saying about her vanity, because it's like to Valentine, and I'm sure to most people, it'd just be like they just wouldn't get it at all. It's like it's just another cool place to go. Like, what do you mean? You know what I mean? It's a her thing. You know, it speaks to her character.
Yeah. Well, the other two didn't really mind, so yeah.
Yeah. What do you mean? I like bogan Aussies hanging out in Thailand. You know. So that I feel like I can relate to the show more than I'd like to admit, because so this season it was set at Koh Samui, which is an island in Thailand that I've been to, and it's like I felt like I was like I was probably staying at that resort. I was like at the Bintang resort. You know what I mean? Bintang's a Balinese thing, but it's like, you know what I mean. I was there, you know. And they came over. No, that's and that's the thing. Like on the surface, they're not that different. Like, you know, you look at it, it's like, oh, it's a nice pool, a pool bar. Like, it looks like a nice place, but it's just, I guess, it's just the difference in the types of people that stay there. I guess I don't know. Well, that's how Michelle Monaghan saw it, apparently. But yeah, and then I don't know, just like the formula that all the seasons follow as well, of, you know, them getting up and going to the breakfast buffet every morning and sitting around those tables, and like so many scenes take place like that. That is 100% what that resort experience is like. It's like, regardless of like how good your hotel is or whatever, like you stay anywhere over there, and you go with your family to the buffet breakfast, and everyone sits around there or whatever. So yeah, I don't know. I feel like I don't know if I want to admit I relate to the show that much, but yeah, I don't know. It was just funny to see all that stuff. Like, I think that's probably another aspect of why I found that so hilarious. It's just like I definitely see something in it for sure. Felt like that feels like comedy derived from Mike, very much living at these resorts, because I think he does a lot of his does all of his writing, and like when he's prepping for a new season, he goes and stays at resorts and like really sort of gets immersed in what he's going to do. I think so.
Okay.
I think that a lot of that humor comes out from that.
I mean, I guess like a bit of trivia on that is like I think weren't they here for like 6 months or something? And I think there was like there was some like unhappiness. There was some you know, problems that people had just because like they were all staying in the same place for so long, and like basically like whenever they filmed, they couldn't have like AC, I think, because like it would, you know, it would mess up with the sound.
Yeah.
So I think the actors got a bit irritable, which kind of like is like Mike's whole Survivor thing in a sense, like putting them all in, you know, this one place for 6 months and just seeing how they react.
Yeah.
But yeah.
I hadn't heard that, but that makes a ton of sense because it's freaking hot. And yeah, they were there. They were there. I heard they were there for 7 months. I heard it's like, fuck, that's ages, bro.
Yeah, it took them ages to film. I mean, it's pretty standard apparently, but like, yeah, I wouldn't think they'd be there for that long. Like that's half a year of their lives, you know, just stuck together.
Absolutely.
So, yeah.
Absolutely, yeah, and that's the behemoth thing of what Mike's taking on as well. Is like I said at the start, like usually when you're shooting a show like this, you have like 8 directors or whatever, or at least like 5, and because sometimes, you know, a director will do multiple episodes, but Mike's basically shooting a movie for 7 months. You know what I mean? It's like doing it all himself. It's crazy. and he has to keep that energy up. That would be exhausting, I imagine.
Yeah, yeah.
But like you said, that survivor instinct, he probably thrives off of it as well, and like putting the actors in the same position.
Mm. Yeah, have you seen the set photos with him? He usually wears like t-shirts of like Greg or like other like the characters he really likes. It's like
No, I haven't. I haven't seen that. That's really funny.
And he's got like a really big
really
smile. It seems like he has like a lot of energy, I guess. He must bring to the production.
Exactly. You'd have to for sure. That's really funny. Oh god, we still got to talk about Greg. I do want to talk about Greg, but the three friends. I feel like we didn't. I don't know if we fully touched on anything on this, but the you brought up Carrie Coon as sort of being a highlight. I agree. She felt like she changed the most, and then therefore sort of impacted the arc of the whole story the most. I think probably because she was. I mean, I guess it all really begins. I guess when Jackie sleeps with Valentine. I think is sort of when like her whole then that affects Laurie to where like her whole like participation in the fakeness of it, I guess, sort of deteriorates, and she just starts going against the grain and starts being honest. Really, is what she's doing. And that made for some entertaining stuff because Carrie Coon basically was just like started being real and started talking to these women honestly, and they had, like I think it was that first dinner when like she didn't want to spend the day with them or something, and then they had that first dinner where she just started being honest, and like they had no idea how to take it. It was pretty funny, where the other two women were just like just couldn't wrap their minds around what was happening, and their default was just telling her, "Stop it, knock it off, you're being rude." It's like she was just telling the truth. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And like to her that, I mean, I'm not saying like she did it in the nicest way ever, but at the same time, she wasn't overtly terrible to them or anything. And it was just funny to see them just not know how to take that at all. And I don't know, it felt like that spoke to their dynamic up until that point. But then by the time you get to the end, and I think you mentioned Carrie Coon's monologue right at the end, that there was definitely that was keeping it real as well. That was pretty memorable.
Yeah, well, I think that like that last monologue really works like emotionally. But like I don't like I think it's mainly Carrie Coon's like performance in that. I think her performance is really great, where she's like kind of she's obviously like breaking down a little bit and having this kind of epiphany, I guess. But I don't know about the actual word. Like I don't know about the actual meaning like of the speech, whether it is actually significant or whether it's just like a portrayal of a character trying to like express something real to them that might not doesn't necessarily translate into like a meaning that you're supposed to take away. Like she says like time gives her life meaning. Like, well, that could mean like a number of things.
Yeah,
it's kind of like friends we made along the way kind of thing maybe. But yeah, like I do. Yeah, as you said, kind of her becoming more real was I guess what the group needed.
Yeah.
So yeah,
to survive. Yeah. Yeah. No, that's true because it was like I thought for sure it seemed obvious to me that like, and I guess I feel dumb for saying this. Like it's never the most obvious thing, but like this, I thought this group was absolutely on the trajectory to destruction. Like this group was going to fall apart before our eyes. By the end. So and that sort of happened, and that sort of started to happen, and then they came back. It never got to a point where it was like really bad. They never got really explosive towards each other, really. Yeah, so it kind of was on the sort of a path like that, and then sort of I guess a changed course.
Yeah.
But yeah, in terms of that, I mean, I agree with your thoughts on Kerry's monologue. It was strong. I sort of read it as it's kind of what the group needed to just sort of take a second to recognize. I don't think it's anything necessarily deeper than recognizing the friends we made along the way, so to speak. But yeah, just sort of taking a second to realize that these people around means something, and then us being together here, reunited, means something, and that's sort of, and that honesty is sort of all they needed to sort of, end the trip on a high. So I think for the group, that's sort of how all I read it as. But then for Laurie as a character, I thought it was pretty sad for her, to be honest. Like, I think she said, "I'm glad you have a pretty face. I'm glad you have a great family." Talking to the other two, and I'm glad just to be sitting at the table, I think is what she said.
To have a seat at the table, yeah.
To have a seat at the table. That felt sad. That was like, it's kind of what they needed collectively to come together, but it was kind of her admission of inferiority or of, of something like, yeah. I mean, she obviously she was dealing with career issues and relationship issues that we learned, and it felt like that sort of, for her, wasn't really resolved in any meaningful way, and she has to go home and still deal with that shit in a sad way. But maybe I'm meant to feel better that she still has her two friends, I guess. I don't know. Yeah, so I guess my main takeaway from it was like, I feel sorry for Laurie, because that kind of sucks. I don't feel like she got a lot personally just for her out of this trip.
Yeah. Well, that's kind of why I said, like, it's a, that monologue is it's an epiphany, but it's also kind of a mental breakdown. It's like you can categorize it either way, because it is kind of like super sad.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know how much we're supposed to, because like earlier in the season, when Laurie's complaining about the whole thing that happened with Valentine, they say that she has this whole complex where everything in her life is never like anything in her life is never like enough for her, and she has this kind of victim mentality or whatever, and like the problem is you and stuff. And like at that moment, because Laurie was like, seemed like she was in the right, and because the other two seemed like they were just kind of ganging up on her, or they were like bickering, I didn't really read into that. I didn't accept it as like a truth or whatever. But like I don't know, mate, were we supposed to like see more of that in Laurie? Like, were we supposed to see like a kind of self-perpetuating cycle of like sadness that she like instigated upon herself? Like, I don't know, I wasn't really thinking of that throughout the season, but maybe there was like more there.
I don't think so. I mean, I don't know, but I didn't see that either. I'm with you. I sort of took it more as, that was something that was coming from Jackie's point of view of, her lack of kindness, I guess. Yeah, no, I personally read it as hollow. I didn't think I was meant to read into that. At least I didn't feel, at least I had enough evidence to really see that as being a self-fulfilling prophecy for Laurie or anything like that.
Yeah.
So to me, I guess it's told me something more about Jackie than Laurie, I think, but I don't know.
Yeah, maybe, but like, I don't know, because like, even though the other friends are kind of vain, it's like, when you have lifelong friendships, like maybe you do know deep things about each other that come out in like vain ways, or like in vain kind of moments, hollow moments. So they could have been something there, but
yeah, no, that's actually a good point. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah. Maybe there is some truth to it, like from Jackie's point of view, and like you're saying, in what she's observed from Laurie over the years. That's possible, but I don't know if I don't know necessarily as the viewer that I'm meant to take that as like a way. I don't know if I'm meant to see it the same way, I guess, necessarily.
Yeah, no, like for the most part, I think Carrie Coon does seem like a kind of, she's almost like an audience surrogate. Like, she is a very normal kind of character, I guess. And she's less influenced by others. She's she has a very strong personality, and wasn't as like kind of like lost in the kind of identity that the other friends had, I guess. Not lost.
No,
she was attached to a specific identity.
That's true, but yeah, but through that, she's also she's just I don't know. It's just another sad character. There was that scene in episode 1. I think it was like wasn't it one of the last scenes of episode 1 where like she just like gets in her room and just starts crying, like starts
Oh yeah, I
wailing.
think that's the first episode. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's like, and that's obviously revealing, but I feel like that doesn't really change for her, which it makes me sad.
Yeah, but like maybe it is her, if it doesn't change for her and like everything in her life is like, the relationship didn't work out for the career. Like maybe there is something about her that is kind of like too introspective or too involved in too honest maybe, or like too attached to her own sadness or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
Like
yeah,
maybe that's something.
Yeah. Well, not to make it a meme, but like the identity thing is like if she sees herself as this perpetually failing, sad person that has to go back to her room and start crying, and she can't let go of that, then that maybe there is something to that.
Perhaps.
Yes, indeed. So, okay. Let's move to we haven't talked about Belinda, Greg, that thing. Yeah, that's the thing. That's the story of Belinda's here from season 1, and she runs into Greg / Gary, who, by the way, so this guy, John, what's his name? John. Oh my god, the actor's name, John Sear or something. John Greer.
Oh yeah.
Oh my god,
Greer.
I'm blanking. Yeah. Is that right?
I think so.
He's in every season. This guy is the White Lotus at this point.
He's a super villain.
Absolutely.
Yeah. He feels like symbolic of something, the way they kind of linger on him at the end. But yeah, I do like how the show has like this kind of overarching villain, I guess. It's cool.
Yeah. I don't know, like, did you, until he came back into it, did you sort of foresee that Belinda's involvement, and like, it became clear why Belinda was here, and that was to carry this story through all 3 seasons? Because
maybe.
It's because like that's the realization I came to anyway, because like when Belinda, turns up on the boat, I knew she was in the season, and it was just kind of like, okay, cool, this is Mike's choice for the recurring character this time, nice. But I didn't necessarily foresee that then the second that Greg turns up, it's like, oh, this is why. It's like this shit's going to carry through all 3 seasons, which was cool. Like, I like how it's like the one plot that carries over, and in a way, sort of, I don't think not in a way that necessarily makes it more or less important than any other story in the season, but it does. It's funny how it is sort of become the central narrative of the White Lotus overall.
Yeah. Well, like maybe like he'll probably definitely be in the 4th season, but like maybe they might be able to like confront Greg or like defeat Greg or whatever. But it would also be funny
defeat
or like
Greg.
Yeah.
Thanos.
Yeah. But it would also be funny if they did the same kind of thing this season, where it's just like Greg always remains, and it's kind of symbolic of that amount of wealth, just like buying endless like security, I guess, like it kind of does for him in this season. I mean, he kind of feels like a symbol of something like manipulation or I don't know, something, but
something dark. Yeah.
Oh yeah. He's a very dark character. Yeah, which is funny because like he's such a nothing character in like the first season. They changed his character for sure. Like in the first season, he was like he was interested in Tanya, and he was like he actually had like a lung. He had like didn't he have like cancer in the first season? I don't know cancer, but he was like coughing all the time. He had like lung issues.
Oh really? Okay.
Yeah, and then in the second season, it was they kind of showed his darkness a bit more. I mean, he kind of left halfway through, so
he's just kind of a dick, right?
Yeah, but I like when they showed like the photo, I guess, of him being like the young cowboy. You kind of saw the more sinister side.
Yeah.
But yeah, gotta love Greg.
So do you think he'll be back for season 4? Like, do you think this is going to keep going, or like has Mike wrapped this up now?
He's got to be. Like, I feel like Mike would. Yeah, he'll be there for season 4 for sure.
I feel like he's Mike's favorite actor at this point.
Yeah. And he had the Greg T-shirt, you know.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
No, I think you're right. I don't think Mike wrote the character in season 1 with the intention that like he was going to be this big villain or whatever you want to say he is, like have all this power, which is funny. It's just funny how it's turned out, but it's cool. I like it that he's now he's like the guy in the White Lotus now. But yeah, I mean, and also just from like the Tanya character point of view, I just like how obviously she came back in season 2 and died, but like Belinda, so that whole arc still like lives on through what's going on here. It's very much a continuation of that, in a cool way for sure. I will say, like Belinda actually getting her money without incident was pretty shocking. Like that's another way I was leaning towards where the shootout could have gone. Like I don't know, Greg sends shooters to the hotel or whatever. I mean, I understand that's why Zion was freaking out in the first scene, making sure his mum was okay because she just made a ton of money.
Right.
But so that's one way I was sort of leaning. It could have gone, but
another way I thought was like, I thought like Jason, like his business partner. I thought he might have sent people or something.
Right.
Jason might have been like colluding or something, and I don't know. I thought something might.
Oh yeah. That makes sense. He was going to be a rat.
Yeah, but no, he
that could happen.
Threw away his phone, so I gave the phone to what's her name?
To Pam.
Pam. Yeah.
Do you think Mike deliberately cast her as an Australian just as a callback to the Murray Bartlett character?
Oh, yeah, maybe. I mean, I think he likes Australians. So,
I get that impression. Yeah. Except when he made fun of us in the Bintang scene, but anyway. No, I feel like he does have to like Australians. He keeps putting them in the show. That whole scene, that whole meeting with like where Zion and Belinda like do the final business, whatever meeting where like they try and close the deal on getting the $5 million, that was so cringe, dude. That was like good cringe. Where it was like that was unbearable to watch. I was like, this is the worst goddamn strategy I've ever seen in my life. That actually ended up Belinda actually had a card up her sleeve and it worked.
Oh, yeah, I didn't find it overly cringe, I guess.
Zion, no, every time Zion started talking and he just started talking about, as businessman, I'm like, Jesus Christ,
nuts
dude.
to sue. Yeah.
yeah, exactly.
Those,
man.
Those expressions, those MBA expressions. But I think, I mean, that's kind of what the character was kind of it was kind of a satire of a young, business character. I don't know.
Guy got out of uni is way too ambitious. Yeah.
Hey, it worked though.
Shockingly. That might be the most surprising thing for me. I did really appreciate though. This porn shy character was hilarious because I just kept wanting to say his name. It's like, oh, he's porn shy. He's a cute man. And anyway, so I loved how, like, echoing season 1, how Belinda gets the money.
Oh yeah. My dad picked it up. I didn't even think of that.
Yeah. Like, it clicked for me in that final shot when like he's there on the beach, sort of waving her off.
Yeah,
of like,
I did feel a bit.
Yeah, doing it to someone else, and that was cool because I mean it makes sense. I understand Belinda's. I mean, the happy ending would have been, doing the business with him, I guess. But sorry, Mike specifically talked about that. He said like the reason he didn't do it is because like he felt, and then like it'd be a typical like sort of 90s comedy thing to do to like have the final shot be, oh look, he's they're putting up the signs of their store together. You know what I mean? So I think he intentionally wanted to do the callback to season 1 and take the more interesting route, and it makes sense because like if I'm in Belinda's shoes, like it kind of sucks, but I get it. You know, it's not like the first thing you want to do with all this money is like invite this rando that you've known for a week to, become a part of it necessarily.
Yeah. I mean, you probably want to like reassess your whole life, but
Exactly.
But also, I think like it just makes sense, like her getting out of Thailand just to get away from Greg. So like I guess that's why I wasn't overly like thinking of the the callback or the symbolism of that, just because I was like invested in the practical side of it. But it is, but yeah, it is definitely there. Yeah, I mean, she still could start the business with him and like not do what Donnie did ultimately.
Yeah. But that's definitely, but that's an open-ended sort of question for sure. Who knows? She might never go back to Poor Chai.
Yeah.
I guess. So I mean, I think Guy Talk's our last guy. I think.
Guy Talk and Mook.
Mook,
dude, these two. Lisa. There's like the.
I read that she's famous or something.
Yeah, she's like the. Is it Blackpink? I don't know.
Yeah, I think that's what I saw. I think that I saw like a Wikipedia thing.
Yeah. 106 million followers. There you go.
Holy shit! So she's huge. I had no fucking clue.
Yeah, she's huge. Yeah. Like Guy Talk and Lisa. Sorry, Mook. Guy Talk and Mook were interesting-ish. I did think they'd do more with Mook, but she was just kind of a. She was there for Guy Talk's arc, also. He's compromising his values, I guess. So yeah. Well, what do you think of Guy Talk?
I thought together they were adorable. I don't know, like they were like perfectly cast to where I don't know. Every time they were together, I'm just like, dude, this like, you just want them to be together because they're so cute. You know what I mean? They're such a cute little pair. That's how I felt. I was like,
okay.
I thought it was really good casting. It's like, they're just adorable. And then, oh my god, hang on. Oh, she stopped. That was the dog's doing the loudest snoring I've ever heard in my life. So yeah, but I think you're right. I think ultimately it was just to serve really Guy Talk's arc of, he wants the girl, and what he needs to do to get the girl is sort of what it's all about, I guess. And at the end of the day, he did. He got the girl, right? He got the job, but he had to kill a man to do it.
Kill an unarmed man.
Yeah, and shoot him in the back too. That's pretty brutal.
Yeah, I mean, the whole Guy Talk thing was alright, but I think there was a lot of telling and not showing, I guess, because I mean, once Guy Talk started talking about his, what would the Buddha do and violence isn't right stuff, I didn't fully buy into it, or I didn't. I felt that we needed something more to like fully feel, but at the same time, he didn't really. He was finicky about his ideals anyway because he compromised them. So like maybe it makes sense that we didn't go deeper with his beliefs. But I mean, I guess he was kind of a side-ish character though, so I guess it's okay.
Yeah, I think that there was enough for me. It's funny, like I think we sort of generally associate it as being like, oh, if you compromise your values to this extent, because the whole idea is like, he's a pacifist and then he kills someone as part of his job. I think like the idea is sort of thematically we sort of typically associate it as like, oh, that's a negative. And and Mike's not saying it's a positive, but like in the podcast, he specifically said, like, he was asked, like, is Guy Talk happy with his choice? And he was like, yeah.
Yeah, he seems pretty happy with the choice. So that freaking shot of him
Yeah.
with the sunglasses is
Yeah.
hilarious.
Yeah. And I just thought that was funny because it's like, it's not like he absolutely did compromise his values. It's not like he didn't. And that's definitely a consequence of, you know, that happened. And it's not like that was great or anything. But at the end of the day, he got what he wanted. And he's happy with what he has now. So that's that. He's not necessarily saying it's good or bad either way. It's just like that is what it is. You sort of take it how you want.
Yeah. Well, like, I think it makes sense if he wasn't overly religious to begin with, and like maybe he wasn't actually. You know, like.
Right. I mean, it kind of seemed like there was that one scene in the final episode where he like went to the Buddha and prayed or whatever. So like, that kind of seemed like he was, but yeah, there wasn't a lot more than that.
Yeah, I don't know.
If you're happy with that, we somehow have not uttered the words Sam Rockwell this entire time.
Oh,
can you believe that?
Bro. Amazing performances from Sam Rockwell.
I assume you were like surprised by this. You weren't spoiled because you would have watched it like right
up.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I was audible when Sam Rockwell came off the screen.
Nice.
I mean,
it's unfortunately the only thing I was spoiled about.
Which really?
I'm disappointed by. It's my YouTube never recommends me. Like, I'm usually very good with spoilers. My YouTube never recommends me anything with the White Lotus. Usually, I guess this was viral enough to where it thought it was popular enough or whatever. To where I just got the YouTube thumbnail, Sam Rockwell monologue. The title was this is how much of a spoiler it was. The title said Sam Rockwell monologue about being an Asian girl in the White Lotus. And I was like, what the fuck is that? I thought it was like, is this AI? I was like, what is this shit? So nonetheless, I didn't know if like, so I knew Sam Rockwell was going to be in it, unfortunately, but I didn't know, like, I thought like, is there a chance this is like an edited like fan thing where like the actual scene's got nothing to do with that? You know what I mean? But no, the scene was exactly about that. It was about this guy wanted to be an Asian girl, and I mean, it was awesome. It was hilarious.
Yeah, the scene was pretty legendary.
What a topic to monologue about.
Yeah, but it kind of plays into the whole like, you know, cycle of desire thing.
Absolutely. Yeah, 100%.
But it was kind of like a My Dinner with Andre, or like someone called it the Heat version of, you know, the White Lotus, you know.
That's so funny.
Actually, I don't know. Wait, I think I'm making that up. Wait, I think I'm thinking of a different show, but it is kind of the Heat version of the White Lotus.
Yeah. No, I see it. Yeah.
Maybe I just made that up. But
that's a good original comparison there. Then.
Yeah, he was like, his performance was appropriately like, you know, kind of crazy, I guess, kind of, lost, or like just manic, not manic, but like, his face, like his delivery, like his blank delivery of the whole monologue was like, what really sold it, you know, that was amazing. He's totally like authenticity.
Like 100%. He really felt what he was saying. Yeah, and it was great. And yeah, no, you're right. You're spot on. It was basically about the endless, unsatisfying pursuit of pleasure, basically. Yeah, and that's very interesting.
Well, and then I mean, Rick's cycle is more about like revenge, but it's like a similar thing, you know. So it's like kind of what Rick, kind of valuable to Rick, like what he needs to hear but doesn't listen to. But, yeah,
that's right. Yeah, you can never fill up the jar or whatever it is. I don't know. That's not what I mean, but whatever. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
Yeah. So good. And then, and then I realized, what if I want to be the Asian girl? Oh man. I mean, that's the perfect example of like, I think that sums up the White Lotus in general, where it's like, it's deep, it's meaningful, it's thematically relevant, and it's so fucking ridiculous. And hilarious at the same time. It's like, it's crazy. Kind of the show in a nutshell right there. And Walton's reactions were priceless.
Oh yeah. That was actually one of the funniest parts of the whole season. Just like his reactions in that scene.
Yeah. He's just like, well, it's just like,
yeah. I think that made me laugh the hardest.
Yeah.
Like the show that I love hardest the shows for them. Yeah.
Oh my god. Yeah. That was, it was, for me, that was so funny. It was that, and it was Parker Posey. You want to live in Taiwan? That was a terrible accent, but yeah. Oh, man. God. Oh, my God. Have we done it?
Yeah, I mean, that was with the strange German guy who was one of the hotel.
He wanted to sing.
Hotel characters. It was kind of.
Wanted to sing a song.
Yeah. I have nothing really to say about it. You're just kind of goofy, I guess.
Yeah.
Oh, Valentine. I mean, I did predict that Valentine and the two others would be the shooters, because Valentine, like, not the shooters, but the robbers. Because Valentine, like, distracted guy took at the gate. I guess like that those interactions from the trio with the Russians were kind of fun.
Yeah.
What do you think about the opening theme? How they didn't have the like the yell sound on like the like the voice sound, like
the orgasmic sound.
Yeah.
I dug it. I really did. I felt like there was a bit of a thing about like, oh, it's shit. It's a step down. I don't know. I mean, I get it. Like, it's not a bop in the same way the other two are, but especially season 2, obviously. But I dug it. I thought it felt ominous. It felt like it sort of matched the season's sort of more mystical side.
I think so.
In terms of feeling like the religious aspect, and then it still felt very White Lotus. Like, it kind of gets into that low key sort of like, I don't know what it is, synth or party vibe or whatever it is. Sort of towards the end, still comes in a bit. I'm a fan of it overall. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the music is like a great part of the show as well. Just like the recurring, like in the weird sounds it does, and the motif of the theme is cool.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it's like all the same motifs reused, but like they're always just inserted at the right times, and like you recognize all of them when they come up again. But they're used well. There was I think it was a new one anyway. There was a new one that was kind of like that, the one he did when it was like the scene was tense, and I can't remember. I'm not going to try and like fucking hum it or anything, but like it kind of, I think sort of a drum came in, and it was pretty like, that one was pretty intense. I liked it. And you probably won't know. So you'd know it if you heard it. Yeah, It's kind of, I liked it.
Yeah. Apparently the composer like quit there, or like Mike and him had issues.
Oh really?
But, yeah, I don't know what happened exactly, but.
Wait, as in the composer from season 2, and this is a different composer, or did they finish this project and then had a?
I think they finished it, but they won't be on season 4. I think.
Oh,
I don't know, but they had beef apparently.
Oh, that's a bummer.
Yeah,
the music is very good, so I hope they sort that out. I don't know. I mean, I will just talking about score and talking about these technical things. Like I do really, I love all the, like, when obviously Mike sends out a second unit to go and get all the nature photography and stuff and get all the cool shots of monkeys and shit. Love that shit, dude. That shit's awesome. That shit's like legitimately like of the quality of a good nature documentary, just inserted as transitional scenes.
Yeah, it is really,
and they're always really cool. And they're always like, and they're often like, have sort of their own slightly comedic element to them in some way, depending on the context or whatever. Like obviously with the monkeys, that's like made for that. But even like the past seasons have done that plenty too. all the wildlife shots and stuff. I love it. It sort of it feels like it just immerses me more in the setting and makes me feel like I'm watching. It becomes nature, like a tourism ad or like a nature thing. Like for these small moments, they just I don't know. It makes me sort of feel like I'm on holiday, I guess, which is the idea. So I like it.
Yeah, it takes you outside of the normal sets, I guess, and immerses you in the environment. Yeah.
Exactly, and I mean that's something he's done every season, and I really like it. I feel like there was something else. Oh, tiny thing. I really like, again, something else he's done every season. He always pays respect to the cultures of wherever he is. And obviously does that by, making sure that there are prominent characters, like obviously Guy Talk and being Thai characters and always speaking Thai. But I just really like the little touch of the subtitles always in the background, having the Thai.
Yeah, that's cool.
The what do you call that, text or whatever? The typography, the something-ography, whatever, the typography or something. It feels, it always feels like he's like always trying to shout out the cultures that he's, playing with and shooting at,
Yeah. I mean, first season, the third season for sure. Yeah. I mean, like the dances as well. Like he does like pay homage to different experiences, like the moon, the full moon party and stuff like that. So yeah,
it's cool. Yeah, 100%. I think we're close to wrapping up, but I am curious. Do you have a season 4 wish list? Do you have who's going to be the returning character? What do you want to see? Where should it go?
Like where should it go? The direction of the show or like the location?
Oh no, sorry, like the location.
Where have they been? Hawaii, Italy, Thailand. I don't know. What if they did like South Africa or something, some weird place?
Oh, they go on like safari and shit? Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, maybe.
That'd be kind of cool.
I don't know. A recurring character. I don't really see. Well, you can't really have anyone from the family or the trio. I don't know, like what individual you could carry over. Maybe
what about what happened with Leo Woodall? Was he dead or something? I can't remember. No, he's not dead. He just ran off.
Oh yeah, but I think he's too much of a season 2 character for that. Like, maybe it would be cool, but I think his character's too important to like carry over. Because like you usually just have like more minor characters who get carried over. I mean, it would be very cool. Like but yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
Or like Haley.
What were you? Haley, yeah, that'd be good. I'd be down. I think what I really want to see is like a Survivor. It's like an all-star season. You know what I mean? Where it's like it's just only recurring characters from like a bunch of seasons.
Yeah, that'd be pretty cool.
I don't know if I actually want that, but that would be like really cool. It sounds.
I mean, we're just talking about the casts in general. I think season 2 was like my favorite cast for sure. That was peak.
Yeah.
And this, I don't know. Season 1 is so good as well. Like Jenny Sweeney, freaking Zach, the dad, and that freaking Connie Britton.
Oh, Steve Zahn.
Yeah, Steve Zahn. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'd even. Yeah, I don't know. Season 1 and season 3 are pretty equal for me, but yeah, I hope they get. I mean, they will get awesome people for season 4 for sure. So, yeah,
definitely. Yeah, absolutely. So, okay, well, I mean, moving to final verdicts, I'll ask you your final verdict, but it sounds like season 2 is still your favorite.
Yeah, well, I was saying to someone like the show does like improve season to season, but like now I'm thinking like season 2 is just like kind of so solid, and I think every like group in that show was like entertaining and interesting. So I think season 2 is still my favorite. But yeah, season 3 is probably like leading, probably like second, pretty closely. So yeah. What about you?
Yeah, I reckon, man. I mean, I prefer season 2 to 1 for sure, and I'd say I'd need to rewatch. Like, I'd say this is very close to season 2 for me. Like, this it might. I need to. I'll say they're equal for now. Like, I do have a lot of bias towards season 2, like you as well. So, like, it might just edge it out. But I would. You also just rewatched it. I would need to rewatch it, to be honest. Like, in my mind, there's pretty equal.
Okay.
Season 1's also great though.
Yeah.
For sure. So with that being said, I will give the White Lotus season 3 a 9. It slaps. What about you?
Yeah, I'll give it a 9. I'll give it a 9 too.
Nice. Nice.
Sure.
Very good. The show's only seemingly grown and, you know, it's sort of become a bit of a, I don't know, is phenomenon the right word? I don't know. It feels like it's become a thing for sure.
Oh, yeah. It's a cultural phenomenon for sure. Yeah.
Yeah. Which I'm very happy about. I mean, that's great. Season 4 was greenlit before this season even started, so I think HBO knows they've got a franchise here.
Yeah, the White Lotus is the good side of current white culture. You know, forget about Severance. This is where we want to be.
Definitely forget about Severance. Yeah, God. I mean, hopefully. I mean, yeah, hopefully we didn't offend too many people, but you know, if you stuck around this long, you're a White Lotus fan too, so you're probably with us. All right, we've been going for a while here, so we'll get to the time where we hand the show over to you with our question of the show. Last week we asked you, what is the best anthology series that you have seen? And then Annie asked, do films count? And yes, they do. So Dr. Luke says, Kinds of Kindness by default. Andy didn't pick Pulp Fiction because all the stories came together. Okay. Well, so there's some debate here about if Pulp Fiction counts as an anthology.
No, yeah, that's not an anthology.
I don't think it does. Yeah, I don't think it does. And it's not, and it's like, sure, like there are separate stories, but they're the same characters.
Yeah.
It's just because it's not in chronological order doesn't mean that it's an anthology. Yeah, I don't really agree with that. I don't know.
Plus, they're not like stories jumbled up. They're just scenes jumbled up. You know what I mean? Like the
yes, exactly.
Over.
Yeah, 100%. Andy did say, on the other hand, the best anthology film I've seen is, Jim Jarmusch's his film Mystery Train. It looks like the type of film that Liam might groove with. Jaden's favourite is Pulp Fiction. Now we get an anthology of answers on Discord. Oh, man. I don't know if Jaden's favourite is Pulp Fiction, but I mean, I guess, okay, first of all, I was surprised that no one had TV shows to answer, but I guess then when I started looking, I realised I've seen a fair few anthology shows, but because they're anthologies, I've like not seen all of them.
Yeah, like True Detective, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So there are some big anthology shows for sure, but like Black Mirror is another one where it's like if I'd seen all of Black Mirror and really loved it, then that's a great answer. But like I've seen 5 episodes of Black Mirror probably.
Yeah, I've seen quite a bit of Black Mirror. Yeah, not much.
I kind of feel like I need to have seen. I feel like I need to have seen more anyway. But making an answer.
Have you seen Nosedive? Nosedive is very good.
I know who's in. Like, can you give me one sentence on it?
Bryce Dallas Howard, is that it? Yeah.
Oh no, I have not. I've not seen one with her. Is that a more recent one?
No, it's like season 3, I think. It was one of the earlier ones, like middle season ones. Yeah.
Okay, I might have only seen season 1 stuff. Actually, I might have seen all of season 1.
Isn't it
I saw that.
How many episodes?
Oh yeah. Oh no. I must have seen more. I must have seen a bit of season 2 as well. I've definitely seen more than I saw the one with Daniel Kaluuya. That was cool.
Oh, is that the singing one?
Oh my god. Was it?
That's a singing
I just
one,
remember
isn't
them.
it?
I remember them being like on a treadmill or something.
Yeah. That's the singing one, I think.
Oh, okay.
They
okay.
just seem to
All
like
right.
get out of the room, I think. Oh no, they get a bigger room. They get a bigger room. If it's like
yeah, that rings a bell. I saw the one where like they can. I think was Jodie Comer in it. Oh no, not her. What's her face? The Doctor Who, whatever. And they
yeah, Jodie Comer. Yeah. Oh no, not Jodie Comer. Oh, that's
Jodie Whittaker. Is that her name? Oh god, what's her name?
yeah.
Screaming. Sorry.
Yeah.
But yeah, you know the ones where
the other one.
The one where they like can't see, like they put the thing in their eyeballs and they can see, like they record everything they can see.
Oh yeah,
Something like that.
with the isn't that a guy who's the main guy with like a beard,
Yes.
like the British guy?
And then Jodie Whittaker's the wife in that. It's Whittaker.
Right.
Yeah.
But I think the John Hamm one isn't that the most celebrated one? I think I don't even really remember that one. That was like the Christmas one. But I think that.
Oh yeah,
that
I've seen that one.
But I just don't remember
Yeah.
anything about it.
Yes, that it's called White Christmas or something, something like that. Yeah. I have seen that one as well. Yeah. I also don't. Dude, I don't remember anything about it either. I remember I have seen it though, but.
I mean, I find like Black Mirror like entertaining, I guess. Like there was the Andrew. Oh my god, what's the Irish guy? This is so. I'm forgetting everything right now, dude.
We're losing our minds. Not Andrew Scott. Andrew.
Yeah. Andrew Scott. Yeah.
Is that his name?
Yeah, like that episode was just on TV, and you know that was entertaining enough, I guess. But yeah, like Black Mirror is. I mean, it's for sure a hit or miss, but like overall, I wouldn't. Yeah, it's kind of gone down in like cultural like currency, I guess, over time.
Definitely. Yeah, 100%. I think it was pretty like, wow, holy shit, look at this at one point.
Yeah, it was like it's been massive. Yeah.
Yeah.
I have like nostalgia for that. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm nostalgic for the time when everyone told me I should watch Black Mirror.
Yeah.
And then I only somewhat did. Yeah, so anyway, so I don't know. That's kind of the story of a few of these for me. I mean, so like my answer to be boring is is Tales of Star Wars, Tales of now the 3 different ones now that we have. Tales of the Jedi and so on. So yeah, that's so much shit. I love it. Give me a Star Wars anthology, you can't go wrong. So that's my answer. But then yeah, like I don't know, we've both seen pieces of Fargo as well, right?
Oh yeah.
So that's another huge one right there. Speaking of John Hamm as well.
I haven't seen the John Hamm season, but
neither.
My dad really liked it. He said John Hamm's very good at that, so I should watch that. But I've seen season 1 and 3 of Fargo. Yeah,
you've seen 1 and 3. You haven't seen 2?
Yeah, no, I haven't seen 2. That's the
interesting.
Okay. Jesse Plemons season, right? Kirsten Dunst.
Oh yeah. I think so. I think so.
Yeah, I haven't seen that.
Yeah, I've only seen 3. And sorry. What's your answer?
Well, I was just looking at shows now. But I found a show I've kind of forgotten about, but it was pretty great. High Maintenance. It's about this guy in New York who's like, a weed dealer, and he just goes around, and it's basically like a different story into like a different like look into someone's life and their like routines, I guess, each episode. So it's just kind of this, kaleidoscopic view of New York life, the people who live there, and it's very, it's very cool. You do kind of get that, the kind of range of lives that people live. That's the whole kind of theme, the whole kind of thing in the show, and it's pretty successful at that. So yeah, it's a very fun and interesting show. I think the main guy's Australian, actually.
I've never heard of this show.
Oh no, he's not Australian. No, I made that up. I feel like he has the name. I feel like he has the name of Ben Sinclair. Yeah, see, Ben Sinclair is his name. And there's also a footballer named Ben Sinclair. So, like, when you look him up, it comes up with the footballer as well. Like, he's a Collingwood player. But yeah, it's a good, funny show.
Interesting. Dan Stevens is in this show?
Man. Oh, yeah. Lots of different people are playing the show, I think.
Nice. I don't think I've ever heard of this show. That's crazy. It's HBO. Okay. Nice.
Yeah, I think I like binged the whole thing, honestly.
That's probably why you forgot it, yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, Fargo as well, shout out. True Detective, but I've only seen season 1 of True Detective, but obviously season 1 is peak television cinema.
I know. Yeah, everyone tells me. I feel like I'm the only person on Earth who's only seen season 3. What a random season to have only seen. You know?
Yeah.
I've got to go fix that. And then I've got to apparently watch the Vince Vaughn season. Maybe.
I've seen a bit of season 2. That's season 2, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
I've seen a bit of that.
Everyone craps on it, but I don't know. I'll be the judge. All right. That's it. That's it for this week's episode of Cinema Effect. Thanks, everyone, for tuning in. We've got no question of the week. We got no next week's movie.
Well, yeah, not even next week. Yeah.
Well, that's the thing. We got no next week. Next week, either maybe the world will cease to exist, but more likely we're going on hiatus for the first time. By the way, pat on the back for us and for me because we've never missed a week outside of our usual Christmas break.
Really,
we've never missed a week, and obviously the founder incident where we lost an episode.
Oh yeah.
But we've never not had an episode meant to release in a week, I guess.
Wow, pretty punctual. Pretty
yeah. I think the 5-year anniversary gave us permission to say, you know what, fuck it, whatever. We deserve a break. We deserve a hiatus. So
yeah, we may or may not be going on holiday, which is exciting.
Yes. That's the thing. Well, we're going on holiday. We're all going on holiday together. So it's just like, I don't know. I think someone was like, oh, why don't you record when you're away? It's like, mate, no one's... Come on. Look, what a ridiculous... That's a good one. That's a good one.
We can't make
Zach
edit while he's already bringing his computer. But we can't make Zach edit.
No. There's no chance you're making me do that shit, bro. No chance. So, yes, we're going on hiatus for 2 weeks. We'll be back... Yes, it's just 2 weeks. It's just 2. You guys deal with it. It's 2 Mondays. You'll be fine. Go and find another hobby or something.
Episodes.
Yeah, actually, that's better. Go back to episode 1 and binge those. I'm sure there's plenty of episodes you haven't listened to, so check them out. And we'll be back in 3 weeks when we're back from holiday. What we'll be reviewing, I don't know yet, but we'll let you know on the Discord. So follow us there. But that's it. I appreciate Liam for joining me for this fun White Lotus discussion. This was a long one, but it was fun nonetheless.
That's good.
I'm glad you enjoyed it. And that's it. Have a great rest of your week, everyone, and goodbye.